welcome, Wildcat fans, to another edition of the Cat's Corner, brought to you by our friends at Gates Chevrolet. I am your host, Coach P, and as always, I'm joined here at the desk by the Big Cat himself, the head coach of the boys basketball program here at Riley, Mr. Alex Daniel. What's going on, Big Cat?
Glad to be back.
So, had a long week this week. We've got an awful lot to cover, 3 games. But the good news is, even though Christmas hasn't quite hit yet, you see we've got the set kind of decorated here. Even though it hasn't hit yet, we woke up this morning kind of feeling like it's Christmas. 4-0. How does that feel waking up today 4-0, sir?
It feels good. There's a lot to learn from those 4 games, but you'd rather, learn those lessons from wins than losses. So, feel good about where we're at. Since I've been here, we haven't gone 3-0 in this past week. So I feel good about coming out of that week with 3 victories against 3 really good teams. And so our guys are playing well, and I think they're still hungry though. So I'm excited to keep playing.
And another big part of that, we talked about it with the team a lot as the week went on, was the way the schedule was set up. It's exactly the way the sectional is going to be laid out later in the year. How important is it to get that kind of work this early?
Yeah, we preached that all week. The Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, 3 games in a week, and so I think our guys were, wanting to come out of that week undefeated. And so, just to prove to yourself that you can put that together in a week, will definitely give us confidence once sectionals comes around.
All right, so it started out, we went on the road, not too far, about 15, 20 minutes down the road, and we visited Jimtown. They've got a new head coach over there, Tyler Layton, new transfer kid in Dylan Fay, so we had some questions going in. But walked out of there with a 67-55 victory, and really looking at the final score, the game itself maybe wasn't even that close. Going into at the end of the third quarter, we were up 59-35. So we really controlled a lot of that game. What was your impressions? And just for the first game on the road there against Jimtown, how did it go?
Yeah, there was, like you said, a lot unknown. We didn't know exactly what we were getting into, what we were going to be facing. So I think there was periods of the game where we were trying to figure out, how to attack it or what we should be doing defensively in order to, stop them. So I thought we played well for about 2.5 quarters of that game. Obviously, there was a pretty big letdown at the end. But overall, after watching the film and stuff, I, felt good about those 2.5 quarters and knew that if we could, do it for that period of time, that we could do that for a longer extended time in later games. So Jimtown presented some challenges, but I think overall we did a pretty good job. So
to throw some numbers out there, Marv had a big night, 20 points for him. Jalen Barbera with 11. Aiden had 10 and 4. Peyton a little quiet on the scoring front, 8 points, but he had 5 rebounds and 4 assists, so found some other ways to contribute. So a good team effort there. A couple of the other stats that really jumped out at me, we scored 40 points in the paint in that game. Is that something that you're really looking for every single game? Is that part of your identity, you think, moving forward?
I hope so. I hope so. We got to find different ways. We don't have a true back-to-the-basket kid, so whether that be in transition or set plays or driving to the basket, we got to find ways to get easy ones and high percentage shots.
All right, so as I said before, we finished that one with a 67-55 victory, moved us to 2-0 on the year, and then set us up for the Friday night game. It was kind of the one everybody was talking about all week. Braylon Guyton, a former student athlete here at Riley, we honored him, his family, lots of friends. The stands were really packed. So an emotional start to the game, and that was really pretty appropriate for the way that the game went. Hard-fought, emotional game. Somebody stopped me on the way out off the court at halftime, and I remember just saying to him, hey, this is what Indiana basketball is all about. Just speak to the environment and kind of your feelings going into that game.
It was a cool environment. It was fun to be a part of. Lots of people, lots of emotion. Braylon's family being there beforehand, it was just – I just think – even maybe if you were in the gym and you didn't know what was going on, it probably hit you in some way, shape, or form. So that was really cool to see. Hopefully their family comes out of there smiling about what we did and honoring him. And as far as the game goes, we knew that it was going to be intense. We knew that conference games are already starting, so we knew that ourselves and Marian hopefully would be towards the top of the conference standings when it's all said and done. We knew this game was going to be important. So there was a lot riding on it, and I think our guys came out with a lot of emotion. It wasn't the prettiest at times early, but as things started to settle down, I think both teams started playing good basketball, and we were obviously eventually able to pull away.
So I've got to bring this up, and I know you probably don't want to talk about it, but some interesting things went down during this game. I've gotten calls and texts, seen comments on social media, so everybody's kind of talking about it. But with about 4:45 left in the game, Aiden Kent makes a layup. We go up 45-30. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of madness happens, and we roll out of that thing. They end up shooting, I believe, 8 technical free throws, kind of closed the gap a little bit, closed it to 9, actually, before Marv came out and hit a 3, which put us up 48-36. Then Marian went on a 10-0 run. All of a sudden, this thing that looked like it was over just a couple minutes ago is about as tight as it can go. We end up pulling it off, obviously, the 52-48 victory, but how did things kind of go down there in the fourth quarter, and what are your thoughts on how that game closed?
There's some things I wouldn't change, some things I would change, but ultimately, we got to do better. We can't put ourselves in that situation. I can't put our team in that situation. So definitely there's some things, some learning moments for myself, for our group. We had a 15-point lead, and obviously gave them a bunch of points at the line to get them back into things. Obviously, the momentum swing at that point, and so I didn't get to see the rest of the game, but
I wasn't going to bring that up, but all right.
But we pulled it out. We made a bunch of plays, and after watching film, and we turned the ball over some, and things got hectic, but it was good. Just to come out with a win. I didn't care how many points we won by. So big shots down the stretch. Like you mentioned, Marv's 3 there was huge. Just keeping that gap as far away from Marian as
Kid has no fear, does
no fear. And so, a couple free throws here and there, a couple rebounds, and we were able to get the win.
Yeah, Aiden Kent pulled down a rebound with 0.7 left on the clock that secured the game. They had a 3 at the end there to try and tie it. He got the rebound, got fouled, ended up making a free throw to give us that final 52-48 margin. Throw out some numbers from this one. Marv with another great game. We've already been talking about him, 18 points. Manny had 13 points. 8 cats scored in this one, 8 of our guys. And we keep talking about the depth. We keep talking about that as being one of our strengths. And so no surprises there. Marv also had 11 in the fourth. I guess I should point that out. So we're talking about no fear, and he's kind of that guy that steps up in those moments, and he did so in that one. So that moved us to 3-0. Big conference victory, great environment, just a great game. Then you turn around, you come right back the next day on Saturday, and you've got another game against a non-conference opponent, Merrillville. It's somebody that we've seen in the past, so we do know them pretty well. But that could probably be categorized as one of those trap games. So how did you feel going into that one? How was the team's mindset?
Yeah, definitely. You look at everything that surrounded Friday night to Saturday night, there's going to be a letdown and emotion naturally. It not being a conference game, you're just coming off a big Friday night win against someone that's just right down the road, and so kind of take a team from the outside that doesn't have as much meaning. But I'll tell you what, man, our guys like playing basketball. Like they got a spirit about them, and so guys like B.J. Williams that just loves being out there, loves competing, and he kind of rallies some other guys. Jalen Barbera has been a guy that's really come alive just emotionally over the past since the season started. It's been good to see. Aiden Kent brings a lot of that energy as well. So there's a lot of guys that just are up for playing anytime, anywhere, any place. So ultimately, when the ball's tossed up, I think they're going to be ready to go.
And they were ready Saturday. We came out against Merrillville, ended up walking away with an 80-70 victory, and just another great team victory. Marv had 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. You brought up BJ, a magnificent game for him. We actually named him the catalyst of this game. 17 points on 7 of 10 shooting from the field. He drew 2 charges. And then just for icing on the cake, he had 0 turnovers. So you could maybe play a better game than that, but not by much. Peyton had 12 and 12 to go with 3 blocks. You brought up Aiden. He had 11 points, 9 rebounds. Manny, 12.6 rebounds. So 5 guys in double figures. And then you brought up Jalen Barbera. He actually had 8 in this one. So we were just 1 bucket away from having 6 guys in double figures. I don't mean to keep beating the dead horse here, but that depth just continues to sort of rear its head at our opponents. We talked about this as well in one of our earlier games, but 42 points in the paint in this one. So just kind of continuing that trend. It seems like we're really trying to work the ball inside, control the glass, and control and ultimately win the game in that fashion. So 4-0, walking out on Saturday. We roll into a slightly quieter week this week. We've got Glenn on Thursday. They stand at 1-2 right now, 1-1 in the conference. They open with back-to-back losses to Plymouth and Clay before getting a win in their last game over Elkhart. They're led by two seniors, and I may butcher this kid's name, so if I do, I apologize. But Joe Schrapley, I think is maybe how you say it. But he's gonna come into this contest averaging almost 22 points a game to go along with 3.5 rebounds. He's a 6'2", 175-pound guard. And then the other guy, they've got a point guard, Chase Miller, another senior, 12.5 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. He's only 5'10", 155 pounds, but obviously a tough kid that knows how to kind of run the show. So what do you know about Glenn, and what are your thoughts going into that matchup?
Yeah, I think Coach Hanna does a fantastic job. He's been very successful there. He puts his teams in great positions to win basketball games. He's good at moving guys around based upon what he thinks you're gonna do during the game, and put guys in positions to be successful. So, he's definitely a fun challenge to go against personally. We're at John Glenn, on the road. I'm sure they'll have plenty of people there. They've dropped a couple early, but I think even last year they dropped a couple early, and were able to turn around and obviously make it to semi-state. So they're going to be a team that we can't overlook. We have to make sure that we're prepared and disciplined for what they're going to throw at us. I could see some 2-3 zone, just trying to, again, keep us in front, keep us out of the paint, and then clean the glass. So they're going to be very patient offensively as well. We just got to stay disciplined and do what we do.
All right, so that is, of course, a big conference matchup. And so looking at the conference right now, there's just 4 undefeated teams left, so already a lot of action going on in the NIC. Riley and Washington sitting up top at 2-0. Washington is 3-1 overall. They lost their opening game. And then St. Joe and Penn are both 1-0 in conference. St. Joe also 2-1 overall. How do you feel in the conference? It's very, very early. I know we're going to see all those teams still in the future. In fact, we're going to talk about St. Joe here in just a second because we've got a big event coming up there. But just where do you feel right now in terms of the conference?
Oh, it's hard to. There's so much basketball to be played. So we're just going to take them, one game at a time. We talk to other guys, but everyone's worth one. They're all worth the same. So there's not one that shouldn't mean more than the other. But it'll play itself out, and hopefully at the end of the day we're sitting on top.
All right, and then I just mentioned it a second ago. We've got an event coming up. Our game against St. Joe is going to be the 15th, of December. And ordinarily, maybe we wouldn't talk about that until next week, but it's a big event, so we're calling that Just for Kicks. We're doing a shoe drive. We're doing this in partnership with St. Joe High School, so we're collecting shoes for those that are in need. If you come out that night to the game and you have a pair of shoes to donate, you can get free admission to the game. You can also drop shoes off at the school, also at St. Joe, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then we've also got a lot of community partnerships that are involved. You want to speak on that a little bit? Who are some of the other partnerships that we've developed for Just for Kicks?
Yeah, Dimensions in the mall, who is a shoe salesman.
Kids love him. Yeah.
So he's helping with promotion and gathering shoes. So he's doing a favor for us and trying to help us out. So, and then the shoes ultimately will go, back in the community. We talk about the Center for Homeless, Hope Ministries, St. Margaret's House, and the Salvation Army Craft Center. And so, we're really looking forward. I hope, please donate. I want to provide these people and these organizations with as many shoes as we can. I see this event continuing to grow. And again, it's not just basketball shoes; it's any shoe. Kids, winter boots, whatever you got. If they're in good shape, bring them over, and we'll get use out of them. And those organizations will get great use out of them too. So.
And it is a great time of year maybe to get in that closet, dig some things out, create some spaces. You got some new things maybe coming in for Christmas. Get rid of some of that old, as somebody else out here could really use that stuff. So again, that's December 15th versus St. Joe. Going to be a huge NIC matchup. Also, hopefully going to be a huge night for the community as we accept these donations. So 3-0 this week, 4-0 overall. Couldn't be in a much better position than we are heading into this week. Big game against Glenn before rolling into next week. So I think that's about all that we have to cover this time, unless I'm forgetting anything, Coach. Am I forgetting?
I don't think so.
All right, he's feeling good. So we're going to go ahead and end off the show. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, as always, tune in to our social media channels. There's going to be lots of content and information there. And I'm Coach P for Coach Daniel. And until then, as always, go Cats.
I want to freaking win.